Siki, the latest on the Bason hearing and the fourth BRICS summit to get underway in New Delhi. Good morning. Chemical and biological warfare expert Dr. Wouter Bason has told an inquiry that former President Nelson Mandela appointed him to the citizen force after he went on early pension in 1992. Bason is testifying before the Health Professions Council of South Africa inquiry into alleged unethical conduct. Sandra Delange reports.
Bason says he was first appointed by the head of the Defence Force to oversee the last phases of the project aimed at destroying substances. He testified former President Nelson Mandela appointed him at the military hospital in 1995, where he served in cardiology services. Bason says the decision was taken after the governments of the USA and Britain indicated they wanted to appoint him as a civil, chemical and biological warfare expert. He testified the South African government decided to reappoint him as they did not want one of their citizens to be utilised by other countries. The hearing continues. Sandra Delange, SABC News, Pretoria.
One of the four men accused of the murder of Bruno Bron, the owner of a popular nightclub in Cape Town, Bronx, has been granted bail of 5,000 rand in the Cape Town Magistrates Court. Magistrate Jasri Stein granted 29-year-old Fariz Ali bail on condition that he doesn't leave the Western Cape. Stein took into consideration that Ali is a South African citizen with a fixed address and that he has local business interests. His case has been postponed to the 26th of next month for further investigation. One of his co-accused was earlier granted bail of 10,000 rand. The two other suspects have not yet applied for bail. Deputy Transport Minister and General Secretary of the SACP, Jeremy Cronin, says issues of labour broking and e-tolling should not be considered as a personal matter. This follows an accusation by the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa labelling his views on e-tolling as flawed and a manifestation of ideological confusion after an ANC and COSATU bilateral meeting yesterday, which they described as fruitful and honest. Cronin says a lot of money has been spent on wrong issues.
I think there's confusion on the side of my comrades from NUMSA, and what we should do is not going to get into personal stats, but to focus on the challenge that we've got. I agree with NUMSA and I agree with COSATU that there's a serious challenge around the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project. I've said on many occasions now, both wearing my Deputy Minister's hat as well as my SACP hat, that if we could review the decision to proceed and the construction of the key, I think it's a lot of money spent on the wrong strategic issue. Provision of a very effective and good public transport. It's something that we haven't got in Gauteng.
The head of Stellenbosch University's aquaculture department, Dani Brink, says there are a number of reasons for the slow pace of aquaculture development in South Africa. These include a high-energy coastline with very few sheltered and protected areas, competitive global markets and a complex regulatory environment. The sixth session of the Subcommittee on Fisheries of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations is currently taking place in Cape Town. Brink says the industry is also fairly new in South Africa compared to other countries where it has been practiced for decades.
I think there will have to be a concerted effort from the side of developing human resources, providing access to natural resources and facilitating the access to financial resources in order to realize the true potential of aquaculture development in South Africa.
The fourth BRICS summit gets underway in the Indian capital, New Delhi, tomorrow. It brings together the emerging economies of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. South Africa's trade with its fellow BRICS economies increased by 108% between 2007 and 2011. This compares with a 12% growth in trade with the European Union over the same period. While the summit has previously focused on strengthening inter-trade relations, this year the focus will be on governance issues. Director at Merchant and Sovereign Treasuries, Lavan Gopal, says the BRICS nations will also focus on the Eurozone debt crisis.
In particular, issues with regards to local banking and treasury operations will be a focus. Bear in mind, a number of problems emanating from Europe have been headline news for the last few years, in particular the problems in Greece and Portugal, and those are the issues that a number of the big countries will be looking at very carefully to try and safeguard their domestic economies to prevent such massive collapses that we've seen in Europe.
Recapping the top story, chemical and biological warfare expert Dr. Wouter Basson has told an inquiry that former President Nelson Mandela appointed him to the citizen force after he went on early pension in 1992. I'll be back with headlines at 11:30.